Hello and welcome to Family Stories with Janie Apolloni on Saturday, January 10, 2026. I'm Pat Benincasa, daughter of Frank Benincasa, and Ida Rizzuto. My mother is the sister of Mary Antoinette Rizzuto, who married Achille Lucarelli, who we affectionately called Uncle Echo. They had two children, Don and Jan Eva, who we call Janie. Now, on the phone with Janie, she started sharing so many memories. I had to stop her because we needed to record them. Now, the background. Janie married Gino Apolloni. They have three kids, Gina, Joe, and Vince, four grandchildren, Maria, Chase, McKenna, and Lauren, and two great-grandchildren, Leighton and Brimley. Now, before we go any further, Gino passed this year on October 22nd, 2025. And today, we share the memories of family, and we'll honor him in this conversation. Janie, even though we're cousins, there's lots of things I want to know about you. Okay, I'm just going to start randomly. When you were growing up, what did you want to be?
Well, I wanted to be an interior decorator. And when I graduated, I was going to go to Florida with my best friend, and I was going to get into interior decorating. But of course, my mother at that time was very sad because my brother had left to go into the service, and she didn't want me to leave also. So, to honor her wish, I stayed home. And I began to work just at Jacobson's Flowers part-time. And I would go there after school. I would go there on the weekends. And as the years went on and I was married and had children, I continued to work there for many years.
You have just explained the mystery of you. You have this incredible interior design sense. You always have. No wonder you wanted to be an interior designer, because you are. You just have that gift.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing things around the house and creating things and doing things with my hands.
Oh, it's obvious. Now, I want to go back in time. Let's start with the house at 375 South Boulevard in downtown Pontiac, owned by your parents, Mary and Echo. And that house was magical. Who lived there?
Well, when my grandparents, I think, came from the old country, they purchased that house. And I don't know if the restaurant was there or if it was built later, but my grandfather was very smart. He was very good. He could be anything he wanted to be. He built that restaurant next door, and eventually he had a coal yard, which called Tex Coal Company.
Wait a minute, Janie, are you talking about Grandpa Rosario?
Yes. And
Okay.
then he also was a contractor for sewers, and he did a lot of work in Bloomfield Hills.
I heard he had built the sewer line on Woodward Avenue between Pontiac and Detroit.
Yes, yes. He was very smart, very, very smart. He was a gentleman. I never knew him to raise his voice or be unhappy. I remember one time he was walking towards his chair to sit down, and my mother had moved the chair into another place, and he fell. And anybody else would get mad, but he just got up and he goes, "Oh, I guess I missed the chair." He never got upset with anybody. He was just a kind, gentle man.
He passed before I was born. What year did he pass? Do you remember?
It was the year that I made my first Holy Communion, and I just can't even remember the date that was, but I must have been around 8 or 9 years old. think
Okay.
it was in 45. Would that sound right?
I think I heard that 1945. And how did he pass?
He had cancer,
Oh,
very bad. And I
okay.
remember he was in the upstairs bedroom, and your mother and Aunt Army and my mother had to give him injections.
Oh,
And I could recall him calling out in pain when he needed a shot, and they had to learn how to do that.
yeah.
And it was just very sad because he was such a kind soul. And my grandma was just lost without him because she just was so attached to him. You could just tell she adored him so much.
Grandma Rizzuto.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, she was a kind heart.
We're going to come into stories about that.
Yeah.
Believe me. Okay. Now, I remember when my mom would drop my brother Gary and I off at South Boulevard, and it seemed like people were coming, just dropping by all day, all night. Do you
Oh, yeah.
remember that too?
Oh, yes, our house was like the passing by. If you had to go to town, they passed by my house. Uncle Joe would come in the morning for coffee. In the afternoon, if I come home from school later, I would always find people having coffee, sitting around the table.
Yep.
On the weekends, our house was always filled with, oh, lots of people.
So you're talking about Uncle Joe Rizzuto stopping by and the people coming by. Okay. I'm going to ask you a loaded question, and this is going to be a hard one for you. What are some of your favorite memories growing up there?
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
There were so many of them, so many of them. When I was in school, my friends would say to me, I see your grandmother going up and down the street with a butcher knife and a bag. And they said, what is she doing? And I said, well, she's picking dandelions. And they go, dandelions? What is she going to do with them? Well, we're going to eat them. And they thought that was terrible.
But dandelion soup is out of this world.
Oh, yeah. And we used to make a salad with them.
Yeah.
And one time we lost grandma. We couldn't find her. Oh my gosh. We just panicked. We didn't know where she was. We went up and down the streets. We went everywhere. We finally went upstairs above the restaurant. There used to be a sitting place up there with rooms. And she had found her way to go up those stairs and sit in the front room up there.
What was she doing?
She was just sitting there. She got upset. She thought she was home. She couldn't remember where she was.
Now, the restaurant you're talking about was the building next door to South
Yes,
Boulevard. And
yes,
I remember that too, with the big staircase going up and down.
yes.
Now, what was life like with relatives and family members? I mean, the get togethers, the birthdays, the holidays. What was that like from your viewpoint?
Oh my goodness, we never knew what it was like not to have a house full of people. I mean, it was just really the coffee pot was going all the time. And if you had to go to town, everybody passed by our house. If they had to go somewhere, they'd all stop and see us. But it was just like a welcome place. Everybody came to our house. It was
Oh,
beautiful.
I remember always people there. I remember the smell of the coffee
Yep.
and your mother, manja, 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 and putting
Yeah.
food out, and grandma, manja, manja. So it was a chorus of eat, 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 and all this food, and
Well,
people laughing and talking and arguing, whatever it was. It
oh,
just, oh,
I remember one time the utility man came to read the meter and grandma was pulling him to the table and he goes, what does she want? I said, well, she wants you to sit down and eat with us. Silver Power Man or somebody. But everybody came to our house had to eat.
oh, yes, I know. One of my favorite memories of many with grandma is the handful of lemon drops she would put in my hand, and then she'd put a $5 bill, and then
Yep.
she'd put her finger in front of her lips and go, shh, shh, no,
Yeah,
no,
don't tell
don't
them.
tell, don't tell anybody. So lemon drops and $5 bills.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. She was amazing.
Wasn't
Really.
she?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met another human being who exuded the kind of joy,
Yeah.
There was a light about her, and she had a
Yes.
tough life.
Yes. She was just a kind soul. She loved everybody. She never had a mean thing to say about anybody. And it was funny because when she ended up at Lourdes in the nursing home, this is a funny story too. See, Angelina was her sister was in the nursing home also. And one day the nurse came by, and who should she find but see Angelina had crawled in bed with grandma. And they looked like two little dolls sticking out of the covers.
Oh, what a precious story. Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah, it was so cute and tender.
Oh, yeah. Well, the only time I saw her angry was when Joey, Russell, Donnie, and I think Gino talked Gary into breaking the windows of the chicken coop.
Yes,
And they
yes,
told Gary, Grandma wants the windows broken and we'll give you a dime, which is a lot of money back then because Gary was
yeah,
like, what, 10 or 11? But you got to break each one.
yeah.
And so Gary picks up rocks and he starts breaking windows. And I remember Grandma running after him. She had a machete in her hand and she was screaming. And Gary couldn't understand why she was mad. And he said to me years later, he said, I could barely outrun her. And she's 4'11".
Yeah, she was a tough little lady.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And then all the cousins denied it. They said, no, we never told Gary that.
Yeah, yeah, they did.
Okay, so
They
now
sure did. Yeah, they sure did.
in the 50s and 60s, it was just expected that we would all just drop by, share holidays, and visit. I mean, we didn't even tell anybody we were coming. My mom would say, get in the car, we're going to go over to Aunt Mary's. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Everybody did that. When did it start to change, you think?
Well, I don't think it really started to change too much, except as my mother got older, and then grandma, of course, was gone. She had to move. We had to talk her out of moving out of South Boulevard. We said, you can't stay here now. You should go somewhere else. So we found this cute little house on Star Street.
Yep,
And that was just a really cute little house. And she really enjoyed it because the basement she had made into another living area where
of
she had
course.
a bedroom for grandma. She had a kitchen down there and a big living room, dining area. So it was like a second house. And it was just perfect for her lifestyle. And Aunt Army and her would make Scully Lynn Frazinas and make all that stuff in the basement. And it was just, our house was just always full of food.
I remember that house on Star because it wasn't far from our house on Voorhees.
Right,
And I
right.
remember I think I was in college. I wrote your mom a note. Can I come over and make Frazinas with you? And she
Yes,
said, yeah, Patty, come, come. So I thought, yes, I'll drop by. We'll make a little Frazina for about an hour. Then
yeah.
we'll have, okay. I got there at 7 a.m. I have never worked so hard in my
I know.
life.
Well, let me tell you, my mother used to make 10 pounds of flour. I make 5 pounds because your mother got the recipe revised. So when I start making them, I start at 6 o'clock in the evening, like 5 o'clock after supper. At 10 o'clock, I'm still putting in the last hour of the cookies all evening to make 5 pounds of flour. Well, she used to make 10 pounds. So she would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she'd still be cooking them.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember because that day I dragged myself out of that house. Now, I'm curious. I was looking at family history, and your dad was from Isola dei Liri
Yeah.
in the central part of Italy. Now, most of our relatives met people like from Mangone or near there. How did your mom and dad meet?
Well, my dad was a transfer from Chicago for General Motors at that time. And he started working at GM. And of course, he would eat at the restaurant. Well, then he had an eye on my mom. And that's how it all started. The
Really?
story about that is my mother never wanted a big wedding. So they were going to go to Bowling Green, Ohio to get married. Well, my grandfather said, he was going to go with them, and he sat in the middle of the car until they were married, and on the way home, then my dad could sit next to my mother.
What a story.
They got married in Bowling Green, Ohio, and then later in years, they renewed their vows at St. Hugo's of the Hill.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That was the way they did it in those days.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, whenever I see purple irises, I always
Oh,
think of grandma. In fact, I have a
oh,
little purple iris tattoo because I always want her with me. And so she loved them. And the thing I remember the most about Grandma Rizzuto was this exuberance. We talked to her joy. I mean, she could be pulling weeds in the garden and giving candy to kids. She just did everything with such gusto.
yes,
Now,
yes.
I want to know those two big, lush gardens at South Boulevard, were those hers? Was she the one in charge of those?
Oh, yes, that was her garden. Yeah. And the iris were just beautiful. And
Oh,
I can
yeah.
still smell the rose bushes on the corner. I mean, it was just beautiful. Everything she touched was just so beautiful.
Yes. Now, I'd like to go in a different direction. Where and when did you meet Gino? And what
Well,
was the first thing you noticed about him?
Well, when I went to catechism, I never went to Catholic school, and everybody in my neighborhood did, but my mother, she just didn't think that was necessary. But we went to public school, so I had to go to catechism. So I had gone to catechism class, and I came outside and I was ready to go home, and I could see this good looking young man shooting basket in the basketball area. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's so good looking. And we just started to talk and realized that he lived on Rayburn Street, which was not far from South Boulevard, a few blocks down the road. And I would take my roller skates sometimes with my girlfriend, and we would roller skate all the way down to Rayburn Street so I could pass by his house. And his mother would be sitting on the porch in her little swing, and I would just skate by there hoping that I could see him. But that's how we met. It was really ironic.
Oh my gosh. So when did you first talk to each other?
Little by little, they had a place called Juvenie's Club that St. Fred's had where you could go and have recreation night. We also had one at Wilson School where I was from. And Gino went to the one at Wilson School one night and he came over and he said, can I take you home? And I said, no, you can't. My brother brought me and he's got to take me home. My mother wouldn't allow that. So little by little, we just got to know each other through school and activities and different things that we went to, football games. That's how we got to meet.
When did you know that he was the one?
Oh my goodness. I think I knew from the first time I looked at him. He was so handsome.
Now, I remember being a flower girl in your wedding,
Yes.
and I remember that as if it happened yesterday, to tell you the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though I was only 4 years old, it was one of the most happy, joyful, laughter filled weddings and occasion I can remember.
Really. That started out at 10 o'clock in the morning with the mass. And then after that, we had a sit down luncheon. And then after that, we went home and rested for a while for the reception. And then after the reception, they had a nice dinner. And then at 12 o'clock, I think it was, they had pizza. I mean, it was like from 10 o'clock till midnight the next day, the evening. It was a long day, a real long day.
Which church were you married
Oh,
at?
St. Vincent de Paul, which is
Okay.
Fred's, yes. Yeah.
A-
And that's where Gino went to school. That's where our children all were baptized from. And we renewed our vows there different times. It was just our church there.
So St. Vincent de Paul, St. Fred's was downtown Pontiac,
Yes,
and eventually they merged into St. Fred's.
yes.
and then there was St. Michael's, and then there was St. Benedict's
Yes.
in Pontiac,
Yes.
not in the city, but just in
Right.
Pontiac. So we had quite a few churches. And so I was just curious. I couldn't remember the church that you were married at.
Yeah, St. Vincent de Paul. And then later on, we moved close to St. Benedict's, where my children went to school. And then eventually, Joe and Gina went to Pontiac Catholic. And then later on, when I had Vince, we moved closer to Our Lady of the Lakes.
In
And
Waterford.
yeah, and he graduated from there.
So what happened with in Pontiac, St. Fred's, St. Michael's merged into Pontiac Catholic. It
Yes.
became one
Yes.
Catholic high school. Then
Yes.
we had Waterford, Our Lady of Lakes in
Yes.
Waterford, Michigan, which that's where I went.
Yes.
But for elementary school, your kids and Gary and I went to St. Benedict's as well.
Yes. I remember that. I'll always remember your mother's house on Voorhees, your dad's 951 Voorhees
Yep.
Road. I don't know why you remember that number, but it's just embedded in me.
Me too. I always think 951.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that every Christmas, everybody wanted toys and you wanted a toolbox.
Now, you told me once that when I was 4 or 5, I always walked around with a toolbox.
Yes, you had a little toolbox that was amazing. It had a little hammer, a little tools in it. That's what you wanted for Christmas. You didn't want a doll, you wanted a toolbox.
I don't remember that, but I do love tools, and being an artist, well, you know why. Okay.
When we came to visit you in Minnesota, I was in an awe at all the things that you showed us in your little office back there, your little place back there where you had all your beautiful work of art.
Oh, thank you. When you guys came out and we had you in the studio, we had pizza, and so all
Yes.
my artwork, all my
Yes.
tools, I mean, that's my life in there. Really.
Oh my goodness, it was just amazing. I couldn't even imagine how you created all these things you do. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you. I can't help but think that all of our ancestors are inside of us. And
Yeah,
if I've done anything, I always think they're guiding me. I always have.
yeah,
Okay, I'm an artist, and to be an artist, sometimes that's hardwired into a person. I didn't learn to be an artist. I just was. And you are an artist, Janie, and your canvas is whether it's a house, the soil that you garden in, give you anything and you start creating. And my God, you are a master gardener. I think if someone gave you a plot of sand and mud, you would grow the most beautiful flowers because that's just the way you are. And you talked about it earlier that you wanted to be an interior decorator, designer, and it seems like you always found an outlet for your
yes,
creativity.
yeah. Working in the flower shop was very good for me, very therapeutic because I loved it. I didn't consider it a job. I considered it a place to go to kind of express my talents. I just enjoyed it so much.
It showed. When we'd visit your house, I felt like I was in Better Homes and Garden. I mean, everything looked so beautiful. It was like looking at a painting, okay? Your house was like looking at a painting. Everything beautifully matched, the color systems, everything was just beautiful.
Well,
And you talked about the joy that grandma brought to gardening. Well, I think you're a chip off the grandma block here because
yeah,
everything you do creatively has a joy to it.
yes, yes, I just enjoy it so much.
Oh
I
my
think about
gosh.
her so many times.
Oh, it was always a joy to visit. When you look at everything, like all of us, our upbringing, the conversations, the late night pizzas, people dropping in and out. What do you think about all that? Looking back at your life and all those relatives and Italians and What do you think about when you think
I
about
just,
that?
we just grew up with such a different feeling about company. It wasn't like we dreaded having people come. It was like we were welcoming people to come. Uncle Joe, every time he went to town, he had to stop and have coffee. I mean, our coffee pot was going all the time, and he was a fun guy too. I just enjoyed him so much. One time, I'll have to tell you, I bought this winter coat, and it was all bright green, and it had little buttons on it, and it had a belt on it, and it was just beautiful, I thought. And Uncle Joe said to me, "Hey, did you join the English Army? You look like you got an English Army."
Oh,
I always
no.
remember that. He was so funny.
Now you're talking about Uncle Joe Rizzuto and Aunt Army Rizzuto, and they
Yeah,
didn't live far from you.
yeah, Tex Avenue. They
Yeah,
lived
that
over.
wasn't that far.
No, it wasn't. Grandma and I used to walk from South Boulevard to the coal yard to give Grandpa his lunch. I can remember that with Butch the dog.
No, wait a minute. How far is that, you think?
Oh my gosh, I would think that's quite a ways. It would be at least 2 or 3 miles, wouldn't it?
Wow.
A long ways from South Boulevard to down there, Tex Avenue. We would walk to Perry Street. She would work all day with Aunt Rosie, cleaning her house and helping her do work, and I would be playing with Connie and the kids. We'd leave in the morning and walk there, and in the evening we'd walk back, and I
Now,
would think nothing of it.
now you're
That's a long
talking about
walk.
her oldest daughter, her Aunt Rosie
Yeah,
Tenuta,
yeah,
and Connie and Lorraine Tenuta, all of them.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
So you walked all the way over there?
yeah. Grandma was a walker, or
Yeah.
she could walk. She never got tired.
All 4'11" of her.
Yeah, yeah, she was dynamo.
And I remember looking at her, she must have been in her late 80s, and she moved at warp speed. This woman could
Yeah,
move so fast and get so many things done.
yeah, yeah. She was. She was amazing. Yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, as we're starting to get towards the end, I have to say, I asked Gina if she had a few family photos. And this morning, and she's continuing, she's flooding my email with so many photos of of all of you, the family, the relatives when they were very young. Oh my God, I'm looking at that and this is gold. I could
Yeah.
not believe it. And so I'm so thrilled, Janie, because when we record this audio conversation, I'm going to combine it with the photos so
Oh,
that we
that'll
can
be
have
wonderful.
a video.
That'll be so special.
Janie, thank you. These stories, your voice, and the photos Gina sent come together sort of like a family map.
Yes.
You've
And
just given us
I
a family map.
yes, and I truly would love to have you come and visit sometime with Natalie. And I have room upstairs. I have the private bathroom. My house is so big. I could enjoy your company. It would be
Oh,
wonderful.
it would be. Well, thank you. And you know what? Your memories, you give us something we can hold on to, something that reminds us who we are and who came before us.
Right, exactly. And you know what? I wouldn't change a thing that happened to me.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
wouldn't either. I cherish our Italian upbringing. I do.
I'm telling you, we had such wonder. Our house was always full of people. It was just such a joy to be around. Everybody was happy. The coffee pot was always going.
Yes.
People were always talking, and the men on Sunday they would all be in the kitchen playing cards. The men and the
Oh,
women would
yeah.
be in the living room, and the kids would be running around like wild Indians. It was just wonderful.
Oh,
They
it
aren't doing
was.
that anymore.
Well, Janie, thank you. And I love you.
I love you too, honey. From the bottom of my heart, you are a true, true, wonderful person.
Well, thank you.